Hello and a warm welcome to Joy News today with me, Emefa Akosia Aditi, on your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Good afternoon. Top in our headlines is as Muslims mark Eid Adha celebrations today, and as well officers at the District Police Command in Akomfre Ashanti region must be jailed for allegedly shielding illegal Chinese miners. That's according to Dr. Ken Ashik, convener of Media Coalition Against Galamsey, following petition by Hannah Bisu to Interior Minister on the development. And as well, we have the full details plus how a tax fund for Mineral Development Fund was held hostage by thugs. And as well, Interpol issues red alert for the arrest of former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Attah, accusing him of using public office for profit. And again, Mahama promises significant drop in Hajj fares next year, assuring the Muslim community of the commitment of his administration to bringing the cost down considerably. We have these and as well business update and world news. Please stay for details. Thank you for staying. Joy News, independent, fearless and credible. First, the officers in charge at the Akomfre District Police Command must be jailed for allegedly demanding the release of illegal Chinese miners who had been arrested by MDF task force on suspicion of engaging in illegal mining. That's the call from the convener of the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, Dr. Ken Ashik. His call follows a petition by the acting administrator of the Minerals Development Fund, Dr. Hannah Bisu, to the Interior Minister to investigate the conduct of the Akomfre District Police Command. Dr. Bisu alleges that officers from the command held her team, accompanied by journalists, hostage for hours in a community they discovered over 24 excavators actively involved in illegal mining. She says she was stunned when the district police officers ordered the release of the suspects away from the task force that had been arrested. This came up in an interview with my colleague Elton Brobe in The Pulse.
Right. We managed to push through, finally, through a lot of struggle and hustle. Then we got to Inehimim police station. Then the police asked them to block us again, these same thugs, to divert us and direct us to release the Chinese to them. That place, I really got upset because with everything we went through in the village, it was between life and death issue, where you've been held basically hostage under gunshots because you've arrested these Chinese who have committed such crime against humanity, crime against our water bodies, crime against our forests, crime against our nation. Then we manage to pull through. We get here, then you bring them to block us again with wielding guns and stuff. So I came out and I said, look, enough of this. So I told the police commander that we are not leaving even a pin with you because it happened in your jurisdiction and it's just around the corner. Last time we were here, they escaped. Today we've come for them.
Right. Now, reacting to the development, the convener of the Media Coalition Against Galamsey, Dr. Ken Ashik, called for the arrest and immediate jailing of the said officers involved in the incident. He spoke earlier on Newsdesk.
When we talk of the fact that there are mercenaries that have been brought into this country, when the Forestry Commission told us that 9 of the forest reserves were now red and they could not go in there because of these thugs who were armed to the teeth, people did not believe it. Now you have the situation where police officers in the presence of a national, administrator of the Memphis, is attacked like this, held hostage, for hours under the watch or under the command of a police commander who should already, I don't know whether he's not one of those who have been transferred or whether he's just been brought in and now he's supervising this particular activity. You sit in a community where illegality is happening. You completely fail. It's either that the police commander in that district is complicit, incompetent, and cannot do his job, and for that part to be dismissed. It's complicit that he's involved in this illegality. Because how is it that you see these things happening and you're not able to deal with it?
Right.
And then an abyssal now come into the place, and then with police people, you see uniform, and then you ask them to release the person who is committing a crime.
Away from Galamsey, a global manhunt is now underway for former Finance Minister Ken Ashik. Interpol has officially published his name on its red notice list, declaring him wanted for, quote, using public office for profit, end quote. This follows the Special Prosecutor's move to trigger international processes to pursue him across borders. There's more in the following report.
Now on Interpol's global radar, former Finance Minister Ken Ashik is officially listed as a 65-year-old Ghanaian born in Accra, 1.7 meters tall, with black eyes and hair, and speaks English and Twi. He served as Finance Minister from 2017 to early 2024, but is now facing criminal investigations linked to the controversial National Cathedral project, revenue deal with Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited, the Ministry of Health contract for 307 ambulances, handling and disbursement of tax funds accounts, as well as the cancellation of ECG's agreement with Beijing PXC. He was first summoned by the Special Prosecutor in January, but after multiple no-shows and citing medical excuses, the OSP declared him a fugitive from justice in February. He later promised to return in May, but never did.
I triggered processes for the issuance of an Interpol red notice for the location and provisional arrest of Mr. Kenneth Nanaya Oforiatta in whichever jurisdiction pending extradition or his surrender. Around the same time, I dispatched a request for extradition processes to be instituted for the provisional apprehension in any jurisdiction in which Mr. Oforiatta may be located or found, and his extradition to the Republic of Ghana.
The Interpol notice, though not a direct arrest warrant, alerts 196 countries, including the United States, where he is believed to be. It paved the way for coordinated tracking and extradition efforts. For now, Ken Oforiatta remains on the run, but the Special Prosecutor says this pursuit will not stop until he is brought back to face justice.
Now, what's next? My colleague Elton Broby shared more on this engagement with me earlier on News Desk.
This is a request to law enforcement worldwide to locate and provisionally arrest a person pending extradition, surrender, or similar legal action. Red notice, according to them, is not an international arrest warrant. And what we have on the website of Interpol,
now
it
on
comes with a picture
Interpol's
of Mr. Ken Oforiatta, and then his full name, Kenneth Nanaya, gender male, date of birth, 7th November 1959, 65 years old, place of birth, Accra, nationality Ghanaian, and characteristics not available. But it also talks about his hair, color of hair, and color of eyes. So this is what it is on the official website of Interpol.
Right. Up to now, we have not heard anything from his lawyers.
Not yet. I mean, this was released last night. So maybe within the day, they may give a response to it. But as Interpol explains on their own website, the red notice is not an international arrest warrant. It says that the individuals are wanted by the requesting member country or international tribunal. Member countries apply their own laws in deciding whether to arrest this person or not. And they say that the majority of red notices are restricted to law enforcement use only. And this is what they have put together on their own website.
Meanwhile, Special Prosecutor Kisi Ejabin has kicked against public disclosure of assets declared by government appointees This follows calls for an amendment to Ghana's assets declaration regime to allow the Auditor General to make public the content of assets declared by public officials. But speaking at a high-level conference on Ghana's anti-corruption architecture at the conference center here in Accra, the OSP insists the current regime is fit for purpose, as full disclosure may put public officials into more danger.
And I'm coming to disappoint some of you. I do not, and I will not add my voice to calls for the publication of assets for public scrutiny. In our experience, it would be unhelpful and would merely subject public officers to inordinate public curiosity and the specter of the real likelihood of reprisals against the assets. In my estimation, a publication of who has declared or has not declared his assets in the context of a workable asset verification and tracing model would be sufficient to assure the integrity of the asset declaration system. On another score, I dare say corruption begins where values collapse.
He's, however, calling for a stringent regime on the confiscation of assets of both public and private individuals under investigation for corruption and corruption-related activities.
The principle of lifestyle audit non-conviction-based asset recovery should be stamped in the Constitution to encompass public officers, politically exposed persons, and persons in the private sector suspected of having engaged or engaging in corruption and corruption-related activities, on the reckoning that the person must have legitimate sources of income sufficient to justify the interest in any property that that person holds. Therefore, where a person's resources far outstrip his legitimate income, the unexplained portion should be liable to confiscation. This will be a critical tool also to detect fraud and undeclared income for tax purposes. Thus, conviction after criminal proceedings should not be a condition precedent for asset recovery purposes.
From the OSP, President John Mahama is giving hope to thousands of Ghanaian Muslims with a promise of lower Hajj fares next year. This, he says, shows his government's deep commitment to their welfare. Addressing a gathering during the Eid-al-Adha celebration at the Blackstone Square, the president acknowledged the financial burden many families face when planning the sacred pilgrimage to Mecca. He assured the Muslim community that his administration is actively working with partners to bring the cost down.
Matter of Hajj, I'm deeply aware of the financial burden it has placed on many Muslim families. This year, despite efforts, the costs remained high, even though we cut it. But I want to assure you that we're working closely with the relevant agencies and our Saudi counterparts. And if Allah accepts our supplications and the CD continues to show the recent strength that it has shown, I'm optimistic that next year we'll see a very significant drop in the Hajj fare. Indeed, if the Muslims who went this year were going at this time, the Hajj fare will be something like 45,000 cedis.
Now, stakeholders overseeing Ghana's environmental sustainability have renewed calls to transform waste into opportunity. This came up at the commemoration of World Environmental Day 2025. It was under the theme From Waste to Wealth, Driving Climate Action Through Innovation, Research and Circular Solution. The event was organized by the Center for Climate Change and Sustainability Studies of the University of Ghana in partnership with the Climate Development Knowledge Network. Elsie Kisiedu has more in the report.
The University of Ghana Center for Climate Change and Sustainability Studies, in partnership with the Climate Development Knowledge Network, brought together environmental leaders, students and policymakers to rethink waste as a catalyst for youth entrepreneurship.
This collaborative, we are really focused with the youth, especially women, people from displaced communities, refugees, disabled people with disabilities. So, I mean, we are training them. Within the next 8 years, we want to get ambassadors who will not only see waste as waste, but something that can be turned into something meaningful for them.
Country Program Coordinator for CDK in Ghana, Valerie Nuteko, outlined the financial and technical support being channeled into pilot projects that empower young people to turn waste into economic value while advancing the sustainable development goals.
We are very excited about this because we have some of our young people that we've trained over time and we are supporting who are green entrepreneurs here. Basically, our work with CDKN on waste to wealth conversations are that we are trying as much as possible to ensure that these young people who are innovators understand the technical and then the scientific bit of the conversation, and then they are able to hone it into their sustainability initiatives where we provide technical support and in some cases financial support for them. So that's what we are into.
Technical lead at the Ministry of Climate Change and Sustainability, Cedric Jelu, reaffirmed the government's commitment to scaling up youth-led waste innovations across Accra.
It's important to put across that the Office of the Minister of Climate Change under the leadership of Honorable Babasedu Isifo is putting in place measures to ensure that young people are at the forefront of climate change innovations in terms of smart technologies, ideas. We have constituted a multi-stakeholder ministerial working committee that is brainstorming and shaping ideas to see how young people can be integrated.
Director of the Institute for Environment and Sanitation Studies, Professor Chris Gordon, stressed the university's role in bridging the gap in climate education and research. He outlined initiatives aimed at equipping students with practical tools to lead waste innovations.
We're going to provide a number of catalyst grants, seed grants, for people who want to start businesses. So there'll be competitions, they have to do proof of concept, they'll have some training, mentorship and so forth, and with that they should be able to go forward.
For Ghana's environmental technocrats, waste holds untapped value. With innovation, collaboration and determination, the country can drive a circular economy that thrives without compromising the planet. Elsie Kesiedu's report for Joy News.
Now, still on World Environment Day, Ghana's Environmental Protection Authority, EPA, is reaffirming its commitment to ward off practices that threaten the environment and human existence. Ghana's forest and urban centers are under threat in irresponsible environmental infractions, including illegal mining, wetlands destruction, and growing insanitary practices. Under this new mandate, the EPA is assuring stringent efforts to safeguard the environment, health and safety of humans and the ecosystem. Meanwhile, environmental activists and other stakeholders are urging stronger collaboration in restoring Ghana's ecosystem. Irabina Akwe reports.
Pet urbanization without proper city planning continues to threaten the environmental architecture of urban centers with dire consequences on human existence and the ecosystem. Filth and destruction to forest covers and wetlands continue unabated with climate change impacts. Ashanti Regional Director of Environmental Protection Authority, Dr. Jackson Yantichi, highlights the new mandate of the authority in protecting wetlands in urban centers. He noted that the agency is empowered to take actions when environmental harm threatens public health.
The EPA Environmental Protection Act 2025 Act 1124 has been enacted to ensure that the fragile ecosystem, the serene environment that God gave to us, are all protected for the benefit of all of us. Section 165 talks about, it makes this kind of statement that if in the opinion of the authority, a land or continuous existence of a project on a particular land poses a serious threat to the public health and then even to the environment, the EPA may advise the assembly or maybe encourage them to revert whatever thing that they have done, so that the environment does not really suffer.
He spoke during the second biennial media forum on natural resources, environment, climate change and science, organized by the Media Platform on Environment and Climate Change the Afro-Sino Center of International Relations, and the Steminis Foundation Ghana. The forum brought together stakeholders from the media, academia, government and industry players to deliberate on how politics and science play a critical role in ecosystem restoration with its impact on human existence and the economy. Professor Mrs. Mercy Efua Educhumwa Derichi of the University of Energy and Natural Resource spoke on the theme Ecosystem Restoration, the Politics, the Science, the Human and the Economy.
The intersection of politics, the science, the economy and humans are unique opportunities for sustainable ecosystem restoration. We said intersection, they are together. You can't separate them. You may try to please one. If you don't take care, it will tilt. So we need to see how best we manage each of them well and bring them into harmony.
The forum reinforced the need for stronger collaboration to ensure that environmental restoration efforts are inclusive, enforceable, and impactful. Highlighting the critical role of the media, Mrs. Ama Kodum Ajiman, Executive Director of MPEC, described the media as a catalyst for restoration.
We see the media as a catalyst for restoration. We are talking about ecosystem restoration. And we believe that media is key when we talk about restoration. So we affirm the pivotal role of media in raising awareness, promoting behavioral change, and advocating for policy reforms towards ecosystem restoration in Ghana.
Reporting for Joy News, Erabna Akwe, Kumasi.
In a related event, the Ghana Institute of Foresters is advocating a ban on alluvial mining to curtail the damage done to the country's forest reserves. The alluvial system of mining is heavily used in the small-scale mining industry in the country. President of the Institute, Dr. Abubakar Atta, believes the revocation of laws permitting mining in forests and a ban on alluvial mining should aid the protection of existing forest reserves from illegal mining. Nana Yajima joined the association on a tree planting exercise under the theme Tree for Life initiative and has filed this report.
The Environmental Protection Agency legislative instrument 2462 that allows mining in forest reserves has come under criticism by many environmentalists and others with interest in the environment. The instrument grants some small-scale miners permit to dig some forest reserves in search for gold, an opportunity illegal miners are using to pillage the forests. Alluvial mining of gold, a type of mining where gold is extracted from unconsolidated sediments like sand and gravel, is mainly used in mining of forests. By the use of excavators, vegetative cover of some forest reserves are destroyed and the top soil removed in desperate search for gold. President of GIF, Dr. Abubakar Atta, has reviewed the revocation of LI 2462 should be implemented with a ban on alluvial mining.
Yes. The first thing we need to do is to repeal LI 2462. That will ban the mining in forest reserves. 2, we must also ban alluvial mining. I'm not saying, or GIF is not saying that they should ban mining in general. No, we are talking of banning alluvial mining and do the deep cast mining. For instance, if you look at Ubasi Goldfields, Takwa, they are all sitting in forest reserves. But have we ever heard of them complaining of destroying the forest? No.
Some of the forest reserves in the Ashanti region, including the Apamprama forest, are on the verge of complete destruction. Researchers reveal it will cost at least $40,000 to reclaim and restore a hectare of destroyed forest reserve. Dr. Atta believes the government will have to invest in such ventures to save the environment.
Now, we can restore the forest to its normal state by looking for money, getting experts For instance, at KNUST, we have lecturers who lecture on reclamation, forest reclamation. They have the experts that if you give the contract to the university, they'll get the place done. I'm told that we need about $40,000 to restore 1 hectare of. So look at the costs in restoring and the benefits we are getting from alluvial mining. Is it in tandem? No.
Since 2021, the government has rolled out a tree planting intervention to restore the lost vegetation of the country. Metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies have often taken the lead in the restoration efforts. Joy News checks at the median of the Aprade Junction to Ejusu Road in Kumasi have revealed most of the seedlings planted in 2024 could not survive.
I am doing just a 300-meter walk within the median just to establish how many of the royal palm seedlings planted about a year ago could survive. Unfortunately, I count only one of them. That is the one before me. Interestingly, the wooden boxes that were made to protect these seedlings are still here, some of them out of place and lying idle.
Dean-elect of the KNUST Faculty of Renewable Natural Resources, Professor Emmanuel Echampon, points to some possible reasons for the poor growth.
We should be able to monitor those that we planted the previous years, and some sort of monitoring and evaluation should go on so that we can have an assessment about what the previous ones we planted are doing. Otherwise, if we don't do that, we may be doing this every year, but we don't even know the mortality rate. We don't know whether those that we planted are doing well. We don't know the stage of growth.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Institute of Foresters has partnered the Faculty of Renewable Natural Resources of KNUST to plant 1,000 seedlings to mark the Tree for Life Day in Kumasi. Some of the school's lands were areas of interest. After the government's objective to plant 10 million trees in a month, a plan to nurture the trees will be the priority of environmentalists. For Joy News, Nana Aljima, Kumasi.
Scientists from the University of Copenhagen and the KNUST are starting a research study into how residents living in abject poverty in urban centers adapt to the ever-changing climate conditions to access potable water for use. The 5-year investigation is exploring the multifactorial challenges that influence accessibility to water in the increasingly urbanized center of the greater Kumasi metropolis. There's more in this report.
As Ghana's climate grows hotter and rainfall becomes increasingly unpredictable, urban residents in low-income areas are bearing the brunt of a water crisis. Aswase, one of Kumasi's clustered enclaves, is home to some of the Ashanti region's low-income earners. In the past, residents relied on the only stream running through the enclave, the Pelele, as a source of potable water. Once a clean and clear water source, the stream now collects milky sludge. Its coloration nears a hot chocolate drink but cannot be gulped. Nana Kwablapon has lived in the enclave for nearly 5 decades now.
From 6 years, I say fish and college debris and agni now. Now they say no house. I say do you have here? No team now. I'm on for to turn Sassino. Yes, I and on my jiguye.
With growing urbanization and poor sanitary practices, the stream is no longer what it used to be. It is now an unhealthy running water source. The residents living in the area must now find alternatives for domestic water use. It is worse during the Harmattan. Haruna Abdul Rashid is an assembly member.
Part of my lecture area is more of a high hill or a top hill. So getting water to people is sometimes, I don't know why, if they are pumping machines or something, we find it difficult in accessing water there. And now due to the construction of the Swami roundabout, we go days without water. So now we are trying our own best in our own ways to find solutions, whereby getting partners or donors to help us or assist us in getting drilled boreholes.
Although peri-urban centers are expected to have increased water access, it is now a challenge. Kwamo Assembly Member George Kuntu Blankson highlights water access challenges at Kwamo, a community on the outskirts of Kumasi.
Back in the days, hardly or barely will you meet an instance where you dig a borehole and one will say, I didn't get or I didn't meet water. But lately it's happening.
Ghana Water Limited admits that over 40% of treated water is lost through leakages, thefts and poor metering. Water infrastructure projects remain underfunded and city planning often exempts the urban poor. To inform policy planning, the Center of African Studies at the University of Copenhagen and the KNUST are investigating how poor residents in different parts of the city access clean drinking water under conditions of climate change. Professor Karen Lauterbach is a principal investigator.
Rainfall patterns are changing. Some areas see less rainfall, so that has an impact on the water bodies where we draw our drinking water from. Some areas also experience flooding. You know, that can change. That can also pollute the water bodies that we draw water from.
The multiple waterscapes in Urban Ghana project will be assessing challenges and opportunities in water accessibility in 3 suburbs in the metropolis, including Asawase, Ejoso and Eyum.
Our idea is that to bring together like a contextual, historical, cultural, social understanding of the cityscape will also enable us really to understand this really importance of relationships and norms and knowledge, the politics of water.
For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bratkwiku.
You're watching Joy News today. Now, the Interior Minister Mubarak Mohamed Muntaka has commissioned a new police hospital in the Ashanti region. This facility aims to enhance healthcare delivery for law enforcement personnel and the sounding of communities.
The police hospital was fully financed under the welfare scheme. The police hospital was fully financed. The police hospital was fully financed under the welfare scheme of the police service. This strategic investment underscores their dedication to providing exceptional health care for officers and their families, ensuring they receive the support they deserve. Interior Minister Mubarak Mohamed Muntaka expressed pride in the police service for establishing a facility that provides comfort regarding health services. He commended the combined strength, vision and commitment of the police scheme.
Police hospital, fully funded by the welfare scheme of the police service. As the Minister for the Interior, I have the privilege of witnessing many initiatives, but I must say this one has left me deeply impressed and genuinely inspired. To think that this modern hospital, a life-saving facility, was built not by external donors or the central government subvention, but through the collective strength, vision, and commitment of the police welfare scheme is not short of extraordinary. To the leadership of the Ghana Police Service and the custodians of the welfare scheme, I salute you. I recently paid a working visit to the Tamale Police Hospital, which is also under construction. And we are very hopeful that by the close of this year, we will be there to commission it just as we are here commissioning this one. Let me add that I want to see during my tenure that we scale up the police welfare fund into making sure that the police have a provident fund that will see you going back home after retirement, smiling even better than you are doing today.
The Ashanti Regional Police Commander, DCOP Mano Taekuju, stated that the facility will serve police officers, their families and the general public. The hospital will collaborate with the Ghana Police Service to facilitate the processing of armed suspects in a manner that minimizes disruption to medical staff, other patients and police operational duties. DCOP Taekuju emphasized their ongoing commitment to supporting and serving the country.
This facility, I must admit, stands as a clear symbol of the police administration's unwavering commitment to the health and well-being of its officers, families, and the general public. The establishment of this hospital will also significantly reduce the challenges associated with taking suspects to external medical facilities, often under armed guard, where the process can pose inconveniences to medical staff, other patients, and police operational duties. With this new facility, we can now admit and manage such cases directly and enhanced welfare support.
David Opoku's report for Joy News.
On May 16, 2025, the High Court Accra issued a bench warrant for the arrest of the Director of Passports for failing to appear before the court to explain circumstances surrounding a suspect on trial being issued multiple passports. In an otherwise accurate report, a related comment inadvertently conveyed the impression that the current office holder, Mr. Kwesi Asante, was directly accountable for or had supervised the issuance of those multiple passports. When informed the said issuance predates his assumption of the said office, we unreservedly apologize for such impression created. You're watching Joy News today. Please stay for some business updates. Welcome back to Joy News today. Time now for some business updates. Now, the rampant spread of aquatic weeds in Ghana's inland waters poses a growing threat to hydroelectric power generation and water transport, with a 160 megawatt Pong hydroelectric power plant in Akuse among the most affected facilities. Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Dr. Kamaldeen Ali, says coordinated efforts are needed to tackle the problem. He called for stronger collaboration between the Volta Lake Transport Company Limited and the Volta River Authority VRA, which manages both the Akosombo and the Pond dams. Kwame Yanka has more.
Director General of Ghana Maritime Authority, Dr. Kamaldeen Ali, made the remarks during an inspection of weed clearing efforts at Bong in the eastern region. The visit formed part of the Inland Water Assessment Mission and included a review of work done by skimmer vessels previously handed over to VRA to support the cleanup. He described the weed removal as a key pillar of Ghana's blue economy, adding that its benefits go beyond energy. Dr. Kamaldeen Ali expressed satisfaction that his tenure is strengthening partnerships among key stakeholders to boost inland water economy. These efforts, he added, align with the government's 24-hour economy agenda, especially in communities along the lake corridor.
The overall results we are seeing is that weeds are being cleared in tons, allowing the generation of power that otherwise, if not generated, will cripple our nation. It also clears the ways for fisheries to take place. So another element of a blue economy activity that is taking place. And for that matter, tourism, of course, because if somebody came and all the waters here are covered by weeds, then you will not have a touristic site to look at. And finally, importantly, transportation for canoes and other people to use. And these are very important elements that we have come to see.
Meanwhile, Dr. Kamaldeen Ali says since the skimmer vessels were handed over to VRA more than 2 years ago, tons of aquatic weeds have been removed.
A lot of tons of weeds are cleared. And an important and encouraging element of that is that the weed is just not cleared and deposited somewhere as part of the value chain that is used in generating compost. the compost is used for farming. And as part of the give back to the community also, part of it is distributed to the local community to enhance their farming. So this weed is not something that is, and actually weeds and aquatic weeds are an important economic thing. Apart from compost, in some places it is used for food, it is used for other things, and that is what we are seeing here. So the tons that are cleared are very useful and contributes to a value economic chain.
Currently, 2 skimmer boats are operating at Bom and 1 at Adan. However, the Maritime Authority believes new, more efficient specifications may be required to boost performance. The site visit was led by VRA's technical head, Hakim Tijani, and Volta Lake Transport's Managing Director, Angela Ofuriwa Oloute, along with their respective teams. Kwame Yankes reports for Joy Business.
Now, Tesl Ghana is making bold strides in environmental sustainability, with CEO Patricia Obonai reaffirming the company's long-term commitment to tree planting as part of its corporate purpose. Speaking at the Chippa Forest Reserve, she emphasized the role of businesses in protecting Ghana's natural environment.
Tesl Ghana continues its green mission at the Chippa Forest Reserve as part of this year's World Environment Day and the National Tree Planting Exercise. Chief Executive Patricia Obonai led employees, community members, and school partners in planting 10,000 trees. She says the effort reflects one of Tesl's core pillars, environmental protection, and calls on other corporate bodies to support similar causes.
As part of World Environment Day and also as part of the National Tree Planting Exercise, we go out every year as management and employees. We take time out and we go in partnership with the Forestry Commission to plant trees. So over the years, we've done this work at Achimota. You go there, you see a part of it that's planted by Tesl employees. Last year, we were here in partnership with Forestry Commission at the Chippa Reserve to plant 10,000 trees. Today, I'm glad to note that we are here again to plant another 10,000. And then in the month of June, we'll be in Kumasi to do another 5,000. So this is not a fluke for the media. This is a commitment as part of our purpose as an organization.
District Manager for the Tema Adan Forestry District, Linda and Sam praised Tesl Ghana for its consistent collaboration with the Forestry Commission. She highlighted the importance of corporate support in addressing deforestation and climate change.
Chippa Forest Reserve that we are in now is a degraded forest reserve. And so we are glad that Tesl as a company comes in year after year to collaborate with forestry to enable us restore the degraded Chippa Forest Reserve. And so we want to commend them for doing it, and want to also encourage other corporate bodies to emulate a good example of Tesl and also come in to help the government. The government alone cannot do it. And so when we meet corporate bodies like Tesl, who are very committed, last year they were here, this year, at the beginning of the year, they came, they did 4 hectares. This time we are here doing another 10 hectares. And you see how lovely it is. Everyone is here taking pictures and having fun planting.
For students like Adam Caleb from Golden Sunbeam International, the experience goes beyond planting trees. It's about climate action and inspiring others to protect the planet.
I feel happy by planting trees to help prevent climate change. The advice to my friends and families are that we must try to preserve our wildlife by planting more trees and conserving our wildlife ecosystem.
With consistent corporate efforts and growing youth involvement, Tesl Ghana's tree planting drive shows that sustainability is not just a goal, but a shared responsibility.
Still in business, the Ghana Private Road Transport Union has described the government's 1 Ghana cedi levy on petroleum products as unfair to drivers. Speaking on the AM show, the union's deputy PRO Samuel Amwa emphasized that drivers are now struggling to reduce the proposed 15% in transport fares due to the additional financial burden.
Recently, we were asked to reduce our transport fares by 15%. Even by then, looking at the only fuel reduction, if we are to look into only the fuel reduction, we wouldn't have even reduced it by the 15%. And we had this agreement with the transport ministry that they are going to talk to the other components, the spare parts dealers, the lubricants and others, for them to also reduce. That is why we even agreed to reduce it by 15%. So even as I'm speaking to you now, all these components are still the same. And we are even planning to meet the government again to talk about this, that reducing our transport fares by 15% is now, disturbing the drivers, is giving us another burden, and that they should look into it and maybe still compel those that sell the spare parts and others to also reduce their staffs. For us to only hear that, another levy has been imposed on the petroleum product, we didn't get it easily. So we, the drivers, we thought, the government, is not fair to us.
He further called on the government to consider stakeholder engagement in such crucial decisions, noting the difficult situation drivers are likely to face under the current imposition.
You see, so drivers now, we are at a tight corner. And if you sit down for government to also come in to impose this 1 Ghana cedi on every litre, then it's at the higher side. 1 Ghana cedis. It means that if I'm a driver, I'm a taxi driver, and I buy maybe 50 litres to do my rounds a day, it means I'm paying 50 Ghana cedis. Like that 50 Ghana cedis will do something for me if I have to keep it. Nowadays, this is the same business we do to pay electricity, to pay water, to take care of our children and all that. This is the small monies we gather before, we'll be able to do all this. And if government will not consider and, come in with 1 Ghana cedis on every litre, and we are saying that, if like discussion or maybe stakeholder consultation will come in, we will also come in with our input, explain some certain things for them to understand if they have to reduce or if they have to shift it to, any other areas, then we will get our understanding. But for them to just come and impose on us just like that, we can't take it.
You're watching Joy News today. Please stay for World News. You're still watching Joy News today, and in wrapping the bulletin, Zambia's former president Edgar Lungu has died at age 68, his party has said in a statement. He had been receiving specialized treatment in South Africa for an undisclosed illness. The Patriotic Front added Lungu led Zambia for 6 years from 2015, losing the 2021 election to the current president Hakainde Hichilema by a large margin. After that defeat, he stepped back from politics, but later returned to the fray. He had been his ambition to vie for the presidency again, but at the end of the last year, the Constitutional Court barred him from running, ruling that he had already served the maximum 2 terms allowed by the law. Even after being disqualified from running once more for the presidency, he remained hugely influential in Zambian politics and did not hold back in his criticism of his successor. That'll be all for the bulletin today on a holiday. Happy Eid to you and yours. Please log on to myjoyonline.com for more stories. My name is Emefa Akosia Adeti. Thank you for watching.